I'm in my 50s now,
Three true unsettling horror stories. And
but there are some nights from my childhood that never really leave. Nights that sit in the back of your mind like old photographs you wish you could burn but can't quite reach. This is about one of those nights. The first time my parents trusted me to babysit my younger sisters. It was 1987, and I just turned 12 that summer. We lived in a quiet suburb of Sydney, the kind of neighborhood where everyone knew everyone, where kids rode their bikes until the streetlights came on, where you felt safe. My parents had been talking about it for weeks, how responsible I'd become, how mature I was for my age. Finally, they decided I was ready to watch Emma and Sarah while they were out for the evening. They were so excited about it. There was a midnight screening of some old film they loved as teenagers, and they made reservations at their favorite restaurant beforehand. We won't be home until 1 or 2 in the morning, Mom had said, tucking a
damn, how long is the movie?
strand of hair behind my ear. "You're sure you're okay with that, sweetheart?" I'd nodded, trying to look more confident than I felt. I wanted to make them proud. The evening started off perfectly normal. We made popcorn, the kind you do in the stovetop that fills the whole house with that burnt butter smell. We watched terrible sitcom reruns and laughed at jokes we didn't fully understand. Emma and Sarah thought staying up late was the most rebellious thing in the world. And honestly, so did I. We kept all the lights off except for the glow of the television, creating that cozy fortress feeling that only kids can truly appreciate. Around 11 o'clock, we heard it. A rustling sound from the front yard. "Probably just the wind," I said, more to convince myself than my sisters. We got winds sometimes that rattled the bushes along the fence, or it could have been Mrs. Henderson's cat. That thing was always prowling around at night.
So everyone just lived next to a Henderson? Okay.
But then, about 2 minutes later, someone was pounding on our front door. Not knocking, pounding. The kind of aggressive sound that makes your stomach drop instantly. That speaks of urgency or anger or something worse. All 3 of us froze. Sarah grabbed my arm so tight her fingernails dug into my skin. Emma's face had gone completely white in the flickering light of the TV. "Turn it off," I whispered, and Emma lunged for the remote. The sudden silence was somehow worse than the noise had been. We could hear everything now.
Okay, but dude, if someone pounded on my door while I'm watching the TV, I wouldn't turn it off because then that lets them know that you are there.
Our own breathing, the hum of the refrigerator in the kitchen, the settling sounds of the house. And then, again. My heart was hammering so hard I could feel it in my throat. Every instinct screamed at me to hide, to run
I swear to God, if the whole story is him just knocking and leaving, I'm going to be so pissed.
upstairs and lock ourselves in a bedroom and wait for Mom and Dad to come home. But I was 12 years old and supposed to be responsible now. I was the babysitter. I had to do something.
Yeah, bitch, square up!
I crept toward the front door, my sisters following.
Okay, this guy's sweeter than a honey bun, though. A 12-year-old ginger? No housebreaker is scared of that shit.
Close behind me like ducklings. Our front door was almost completely solid wood, with just these thin decorative strips of frosted-colored glass
Oh, he's just lurking.
running vertically through it. Nobody outside could see in, which gave me a tiny sliver of courage. We crouched there in the darkness, and through the distorted glass, I could just barely make out a figure standing on our front porch. And then the doorknob started to rattle.
Marlon?
Someone was trying to open our door, turning the knob back and forth, testing it, seeing if we'd been stupid enough to leave it unlocked. I didn't think, I just acted. We had this wooden doorstop that we sometimes used to prop the door open on summer days. I grabbed it, and as quietly as I could, I wedged it firmly under the door. My hands were shaking so badly it took 3 tries. I wanted to call the police, but our only phone was mounted on the wall right there by the front door.
What kind of fuck-ass construction worker puts the phone on the wall of the front door?
If I picked it up, whoever was outside would definitely hear me. And something about the aggressive way they'd been banging, the persistent rattling of that doorknob, told me that making our presence known would be the worst possible thing we could do. "Upstairs," I whispered,
now. We ran as quietly as we could up the carpeted stairs to Mom and Dad's room. It was at the front of the house, and I knew, though some part of me desperately didn't want to, that we'd be able to see the front porch from their window. We huddled together on the floor, and for a few minutes, we just sat there, listening. The house was completely silent. No more banging, no more rattling, nothing. Maybe they left, Emma whispered hopefully.
If that's the case, I'm gonna be real pressed.
But I had to know. I had to see. And despite every rational thought telling me not to, I stood up and moved toward the window. My sisters followed. Of course they did. You can tell kids not to look, but they're going to look anyway. That's just how fear works. The curtains were heavy and dark, no blinds behind them. We couldn't pull them open without being obvious. So we dropped to our knees and slowly, carefully, lifted the bottom edge of the curtain just enough to peek under it. What I saw has fueled my nightmares for 37 years.
37 years? You still dream about this motherfucker?
He was standing there, this old man, right in our front porch. And the thing that still makes my skin crawl, the thing I can never quite reconcile in my mind, is that his eyes were already locked on that exact window. Like he'd been waiting for us. Like he knew precisely where we'd be.
Dude, the way that you're looking at him is more creepy than the way he's looking at you.
And when we'd look. His face was weathered, angular, all hard lines and shadows. But his expression was what terrified me most. This menacing scowl that looked less like anger and more like cruel anticipation. Like he was enjoying this. He was holding a brown paper bag, the kind you pack a lunch in, crumpled at the top where he gripped it. And inside that bag, something was moving. I could see the paper shifting, contracting, like
Bro, he's just giving you a pet. I don't see the problem here.
whatever was in there was alive and trying to get out. Then, maintaining that horrible eye contact, he slowly raised the bag up beside his head. His other arm lifted, one finger pointing directly at it. And then, he started moving his forearm back and forth in this slow, deliberate gesture, drawing our attention to the bag, making sure we saw it, making sure we understood that whatever was inside was meant for us. The whole thing lasted maybe 5 seconds, but it felt like hours. Sarah
Do we get to know what's in the bag?
made this small whimpering sound, and all three of us ducked back down, our hearts racing, too terrified to even cry. I waited about a minute before I finally got the courage to look again. I pressed myself against the wall and peered around the very edge of the curtain, praying he wouldn't see me. The porch was empty. He was gone. We stayed huddled on that bedroom floor, not speaking, barely breathing, until we heard the sound of our parents' car in the driveway. I've never been so relieved in my entire life. We were hysterical by the time they got inside. All three of us talking over each other, crying, trying to explain. Dad called the police and filed a report. They drove by our house a few extra times that week, but they never found him. Never even figured out who he was. Married with kids of my own. But sometimes, late at night, when I'm locking up the house, I think about that man with the brown paper bag. I think,
Really? I would have forgotten about that motherfucker a long time ago. He didn't really do much. He just kind of stood in the driveway, lurking, staring at you. Realistically, he's just a fucking tweaker with a raccoon asking for money for the raccoon. That was probably all it was. There's no reason he should be in your nightmares, bro.
think about how he knew exactly where we'd be. I think about what was moving inside that bag,
Bro,
and I'm grateful,
tweakers can see the future, I swear to God.
so grateful, that I never had to find out.
You hear him like yapping about shit in an alleyway. Yo, if you see a tweaker in an alleyway, listen to what they're saying for a bit. They're onto something. I don't understand it. It's like some hieroglyphics, but they're theorizing about shit, and I fucking believe them every single time.
The therapist says writing it down might help, that putting it into words makes it real. My name is Cassidy Spencer, and 6 months ago, I bought my son a gaming console for his 12th birthday.
I'd saved for months, extra nursing shifts, anything to afford it. His father left 3 years ago, and I wanted to see Ethan smile again. When he opened that box, his face lit up. Pure joy. The first month was perfect. He'd ask permission, finish homework first, stick to the 2-hour limit. He made friends online, laughed through his headset. I thought I was being a good mom. The changes crept in slowly. Just 5 more minutes became 20. Grades slipped from B's to C's. By
I don't like where this is going.
October, he stopped eating dinner with me, taking his plate to his room while that screen glowed blue under his door. I'd find the food later, cold and untouched. His room started to smell, stale sweat, old food, empty energy drink cans under his bed, chip bags in his closet. The curtains stayed down. The blue
This sounds like my middle school career. Like all throughout middle school. And most of high school, actually, now that I think about it.
light was constant. By December, I barely recognized him. 15 pounds lost, skin gray from no sunlight. Dark circles made his eyes look sunken. When he looked at me, rarely, his gaze slid
Hey, that motherfucker's mogging everyone in his school, though. Let's be real.
past like I wasn't there. His teachers called, fallen asleep in class 3 times in 1 week. His best friend's mother called. I made excuses, said we were handling it. I was lying. At night, I'd wake at 3 a.m. hearing him talking. Not excited gaming chatter, intense, whispered. One night I pressed my ear to his door. I know. No, she doesn't know. She's always asleep. I can't. Not yet. Just let me finish this.
Wait. You telling me my mom heard that shit? This wasn't in the playbook.
I pushed the door open. He sat in darkness, controller white knuckle, face illuminated by blue screen, eyes bloodshot, pupils huge. He didn't glance at me. Ethan, who are you talking to? My team mom, flat voice, mechanical. We're in the middle of something. It's 3 a.m. Turn it off. He finally looked at me. In that blue light, his face looked wrong, too thin, too angular. 5 more minutes. I closed the door, too tired to fight, too scared. I told myself I'd deal with it in the morning. I always told myself that. 2 weeks later, I confronted him. 1 hour gaming on weekends only.
Bitch! I would have had some fighting words from my mom if she said that shit to me.
Connect with real friends, live his actual life. He stared with hollow eyes. You don't understand. I need it. I can't just stop. This is addiction. We can get you help. You can't fix this. My team needs me. If I stop now, I'll lose everything. It's a game.
My team needs me. But honestly, saying, like, if it's a real addiction, saying an hour a week, like going from him playing all the time to saying an hour on the weekends, he's not going to say yes to that. Like, just reduce it a little bit at a time.
He looked at me like I was stupid. You have no idea what's real anymore.
It's cryptic and annoying.
That night I took the console. I unplugged everything and hid it in the crawl space. I left a note. I love you. This is for your own good. When he came home and found it gone, he didn't cry or yell, just stood there, staring at empty space, face blank. Where is it? Put away. You can earn it back. I need it. His voice exploded. Give it back now. His hand shook. His whole
Fucking cornball.
body trembled. When he grabbed my wrists, I was shocked by his strength, fingers digging in hard enough to bruise. I wrenched away, ran to my room, and locked the door. I called my sister. She said the words I'd been avoiding. Intervention, therapist, inpatient
Okay, I don't... This story seems a little made up to me.
treatment. This was serious. For 3 days, Ethan barely spoke. He'd sit in his dark room staring at the wall where a screen used to be. He stopped eating completely. On the 4th night, I woke to find him at the foot of my bed. Moonlight made his face skeletal, eyes wild, unfocused. Mom, please, I can't think.
I can't sleep. My rank, my team, they're getting ahead. I'm losing everything I worked for. Months of progress gone.
Okay, but that's kind of real though.
Tears streamed down his face. For the first time in months, I really saw him. Terrified, desperate, lost. I pulled him into a hug, so thin I could feel every bone. Baby, we're going to get you help. Real help. So thin I could feel every bone. He pulled back, eyes red and swollen. I don't want help. I want my console back. I can't do that. His face hardened. And I'm sorry for what happens next.
What the fuck? Over a console, gang? What?
Before I could respond, he walked away. I should have followed him.
Should have locked the door. My kid says that to me, I'm signing the disownment papers so fast.
Exhausted, I fell back asleep. I woke to sirens.
What?
The Johnsons lived 3 houses down. They had the same console. Ethan broke in through their basement at 4:17 a.m. He went straight to their family room, turned on the console, and started playing. When Mr. Johnson found him and tried to approach calmly, Ethan didn't respond, didn't acknowledge him. Just kept playing, hands frantic, eyes locked on screen. When Mr. Johnson tried to take the controller, Ethan attacked him. The police report uses words like feral and inhuman strength. Mr. Johnson had 2 broken ribs, fractured orbital bone.
Yo, this fucking chud can throw hands!
And eye damage. They took Ethan away in handcuffs. He's been in a juvenile psychiatric facility for 2 weeks now. Severe internet gaming disorder, acute withdrawal, possible.
Oh, is that a real thing? What is it called?
2 weeks now. Severe internet gaming disorder.
Severe internet gaming disorder. That's a real thing? Hey, can I not have a stroke? This is a real thing? A recognized mental health condition characterized by persistent, uncontrollable gaming that causes significant impairment in daily life, work, or education. That's a real thing? It involves symptoms like withdrawal, tolerance, and prioritizing. Okay. Okay, well, this one I did. I definitely did that. I didn't have withdrawals from it, though. That's fucking that's a real thing. That's insane. I actually had no idea that was a real thing.
Acute withdrawal, possible psychotic break.
Dude, how much do you have to play to get that? That's fucking insane.
Antipsychotics, mood stabilizers, sleep aids. Yesterday I visited him. He looked better physically. They make sure he eats, sleeps, takes meds, but his eyes were still distant. They won't let me play, he said flatly. No screens, nothing. Do you know what that's like? I think about it every second. When I close my eyes, I see the game. I know exactly where my character is, what my team's doing, what I'm missing. He leaned forward. For a moment, I saw my son again. I'm sorry I hurt Mr. Johnson, but when he tried to take that controller, it was like he was trying to take my oxygen, like he was killing me. That's the addiction talking. He smiled without warmth. Maybe, or maybe I was finally good at something, finally important, and you took that away. As I
Oh my gosh, it's like actual drug addiction. Oh, that's so
left,
insane.
he called out, "Mom, when I get out, I'm going to play again. Eventually you'll think I'm better, and you'll let your guard down. Because it's the only thing that ever made me feel alive." The certainty in his voice terrified me.
What the fuck?
That was yesterday. Tonight, walking past Ethan's room, I saw blue light spilling into the hallway. My heart stopped, but Ethan's in the facility. The console's in the crawl space. I pushed the door open, hands shaking. My laptop sat on his desk, screen on. I've been researching therapists earlier, looking at support groups, reading articles about gaming addiction. I must have left
Fun fact, she probably gonna trip. Like she's in a horror movie.
it there hours
Dang.
ago.
What? This is a horror story, it's not a horror movie.
Nothing sinister, nothing supernatural. Just a forgotten computer in an empty room. I closed the laptop and sat down on Ethan's bed in the darkness. Today, the therapist asked me what I want for my son's future. I opened my mouth to say the normal things: college, career, happiness, a family of his own. But nothing came out. Because the truth is, the thing I can't say in therapy, or to my sister, or to the doctors with their clipboards and reassuring voices,
And yet you're saying it to millions of people on YouTube, but that's okay.
is this. I'm terrified of the day they'll tell me he's ready to come home. Cassidy continues weekly visits at the juvenile facility. Ethan is making slow progress, though he struggles with intrusive thoughts about gaming. Criminal charges were reduced due to his age and mental state, contingent on continued treatment. Mr. Johnson is recovering,
I can't believe like it's considered like an actual mental disorder. That's fucking insane.
but has permanent vision damage. The Spencers are one of an estimated 50,000 U.S. families dealing with severe internet gaming disorder in minors. I need to tell you about something that happened to my neighbor.
That was actually a really good story. That's fucking insane. I had no idea that was a thing.
I'm still trying to process it. And honestly, I don't think I ever will. This isn't some urban legend or creepypasta. This is real. And it happened right next door to me in Lucknow. I'd known the Yadav family for about 3 years. They lived in a modest 2-story house in the Kali area, just like ours. Reshma was one of those warm Indian mothers who'd always insist you stay for tea whenever you visited. Her son, Nikhil, we called him Golu, was 20 years old, quiet, spent most of his time in his room. I'd see him sometimes on the balcony, phone always in his hand, that blue glow illuminating his face even at 2 a.m. I should have known something was wrong way before that night. It started about 6 months ago. I'd hear Reshma's voice through the walls. Our houses were that close together. At first, it was just normal mother-son arguments. Golu, you need to find a job. Golu, stop wasting time on that phone. The usual stuff parents say. But over time, her voice changed. It
So we got another chud.
became strained, desperate even. Sometimes I'd hear her crying. One evening in August, I was watering plants on my balcony when I overheard them through the open window. "Where's my gold chain?" Reshma demanded. "I know you took it. Just tell me the truth." "I didn't take anything, Ma," Golu replied, but his voice was flat, emotionless.
Okay, why are you just listening in? Like, no, I definitely would too. No, I would 100% would too. What am I even saying? I would put my ear to the door with a cup if I heard my neighbors talking.
Someone falsely accused. More like someone who'd been caught so many times that denial had become automatic. The arguments became more frequent. I'd hear them at odd hours, 11 p.m., 3 a.m., 6 a.m. It was like their house had its own terrible rhythm, a soundtrack of a family falling apart. My wife told me to mind my own business, and I tried to, but God, I wish I hadn't. I started noticing other things. Strange men would show up at their door, look like debt collectors. They'd bang on the door, sometimes for 20 minutes straight. "Nikhil Yadav, open the door. You think you can just ignore your payments?" I'd watch from behind my curtain as Golu would peek through the peephole, frozen, waiting for them to leave. One time, I saw Reshma answer the door instead.
Oh shit.
The man showed her something on his phone, probably debt notices. Her face went white. After he left, he just stood there in the doorway for the longest time, staring at nothing. Then came October 3rd. The morning seemed normal. I left for work around 8 a.m. Reshma was hanging clothes on the rooftop. She waved at me like always. I waved back. That image haunts me now. Her in that yellow serene, smiling. I got home around 7 p.m. The
Is he just like slinging coke like Franklin Zane or some shit?
Yadav house was quiet, which wasn't unusual. But there was something different about the silence that night. It felt heavy, if that makes sense. like the air itself was holding its breath. Around
Wait, I thought, how do you hear them if they're across the street?
9 p.m., I heard shouting. Not the usual arguing. This was different. Desperate. Terrified. "Golu, what are you doing? That's my jewelry. I need that for..." Her voice cut off suddenly, replaced by sounds I can't adequately describe. Thuds. Heavy, wet thuds.
What? Oh, he's fucking her up.
The kind that make your stomach drop because somewhere in your primitive brain, you know exactly what they mean. Then came the crashing sounds, glass breaking, furniture being thrown around. It sounded like the house was being torn apart. My wife grabbed my arm. Should we call someone? I was already dialing the police when everything went silent. That silence was worse than the noise.
Okay, well, why didn't you, like, call... No, because I guess the cops would say that there was a noise complaint, and then he'd just kill you instead.
It stretched out for what felt like hours, but was probably only 5 minutes. Then I heard Golu's voice, high-pitched, panicked, talking on the phone. "Papa, Papa, you need to come home right now. Someone broke in. They attacked Ma. They attacked me too. Please hurry." I heard him crying, proper sobbing. And for a moment, God forgive me, I believed him. I thought about going over, checking if they needed help, but something stopped me. Maybe it was the way his crying sounded, practiced, like he'd rehearsed it. 20 minutes later, the police arrived, then the ambulance, then Golu's father, who collapsed when they brought out the stretcher with the white sheet. The next day, police were everywhere. They questioned everyone in the neighborhood. When they came to me, I told them everything I'd heard. The arguments about money, the debt collectors, the sounds from that night. "Did you see anyone enter or leave the house?" the officer asked. "No," I admitted, "but I heard." "What did you hear?" I described the sounds as best as I could. The shouting, the thuds, the systematic destruction that followed. The officer's expression changed as I talked. He exchanged a glance with his partner. They showed me CCTV footage later. The street camera captured the front of the Yadav house from 6 p.m. to midnight. No one had entered. No one had left except Golu, probably to scope out the area. But otherwise, that house had been sealed like a tomb. The truth came out 2 days later. They arrested Golu in Fatehpur, trying to sell his mother's jewelry. During interrogation, he confessed everything. He'd been addicted to some online gambling game called Aviator. Lost thousands of rupees, money he didn't have. Took loans from those predatory businesses that charged 40% interest. When he couldn't pay, he started stealing from his own home. Small things at first, cash from his mother's purse. Then bigger items, the gold chain, rings, bangles. That night, Reshma had caught him red-handed, taking her jewelry box. She'd had enough. She threatened to tell his father, to go to the police herself. And Golu, in what he later called panic, had grabbed the nearest object, a heavy screwdriver from the toolbox, and struck her, again, and again, and again. Then he calmly ransacked the house to fake a robbery. He broke windows from the inside, threw things around, cut himself superficially to show he'd been attacked too, and then called his father with that performance of grief I'd heard through the walls.
That's not TOS, right? I don't think it is.
I attended Reshma's funeral. Golu's father looked like he'd aged 20 years overnight. He kept muttering, "I should have known. I should have seen the signs." But that's the thing about horror in real life. It doesn't announce itself with ominous music or dramatic warnings. It builds slowly, behind closed doors, in the glow of a phone screen, in the desperate calculations of a young man who chose virtual coins over his mother's life. I still live in that house. Every night, around 9 p.m., I hear phantom sounds in the walls that I know aren't there. The arguments, the thuds, that terrible silence. But the worst part? Sometimes, late at night, I see light from Golu's old room. I know it's impossible. The house is empty, locked up by the police. But I see that blue glow, and I imagine him there, phone in hand, still playing, still betting, still losing. Some people say gaming addiction isn't real, that it's just an excuse. But I was there. I heard a mother die for gold she'd probably saved her whole life to buy. Killed by the son she'd given that life to. All because he couldn't stop chasing a digital airplane on a screen.
That's fucking insane. Dude, I haven't heard of gambling addiction being like that bad. Like, I've heard of people just like gambling all their money away. And most of the time it's on fucking slots, but most of the time I hear stories about gambling addictions that like went bad, it's always slots. Stop going to fucking slots. No one ever wins on slots. Like, they win like once or twice and then they just chase that high forever. Like, no one wins on slots. At least you have a fighting chance in like baccarat or even blackjack or roulette. Like, you still have some sort of chance of winning. But like, dude, get away from the slots. If you go to a fucking casino, don't touch the slots. They're so stupid.